Hello, and welcome to another episode of the IBMS podcast. I'm Rob Dabrowski, the editor of the Biomedical Science magazine, and in this installment, I'm joined by Specialist Biomedical Scientist Gayle Johnstone from Dumfries and Galloway Royal Infirmary Blood Science. Our discussion is based around Gayle's team's recent win at the IBMS Awards for their incredible work with Harvey's lab tours. I hope you enjoy the episode. Gayle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Pleasure. So let's kick off, Gayle, by just if you could tell us a bit about your route into the profession and how you became a biomedical scientist.
I left my hometown of Dumfries and I went to Napier University in Edinburgh. I did an honours degree in biomedical science and saw a job on the notice board for the Edinburgh Royal and thought, I'll see how we get on. And got the job and trained at the Edinburgh Royal when it was not at the new hospital. It was the old one on the Meadows. And literally started about the week after I graduated. and I did all my training there. And then I was a qualified scientist. That was 1999. And I was qualified by, I think, about the October 2000. And stayed at Edinburgh for a few years and decided then to go travel around the world. So obviously then spent too much money and had to come back to my hometown in Dumfries and started working in the labs here October 2003, and I've been here ever since. So yes. So I've been a scientist now for 26 years.
And did you always want to be a biomedical scientist? Is that something from a young age?
I did always want to be in the medical profession because I had cancer when I was 15. And I always wanted to know what they were looking at, when you get scans done. And I was like, what are they looking at? What are they doing? Weirdly, now with Harvey's lab tours, I totally get, how kids feel about that. But so first of all, I actually went to do radiography. I studied radiography, but I didn't really enjoy it. And I moved to biomedical science. So I really always going to be the medical profession, but I probably didn't realise I was going to be a scientist.
What did you prefer about biomedical science in comparison to radiography?
Physics. I loved the hospital environment. I loved being in the hospital, but I really didn't grasp me as much as biomedical science. I think when you do biomedical science, it's proper science, it's proper experiments, it's, you really are like living the dream if you love science and you're just doing all these cool experiments and you do a lot of lab work. And with radiography, it was a lot more technical and studying, and you would do placements, but it wasn't, even at university with biomedical, you were really in the lab, you were doing loads of lab things, and I love that. So hands-on. I like being hands-on.
Yeah. How did you decide on the kind of going into blood sciences? Was that just circumstantial, or was that something you were particularly interested in?
Well, no, weirdly, the job that came up was biochemistry. So I literally, probably naively, didn't really know about many of the other, disciplines. And when I went for the job, even then, I don't think I knew it was biochemistry. It was just a trainee post came up at Edinburgh Royal, and I just went for it. And then they said, well, it's in biochemistry, which, if anything, I do like biochemistry. I like that side of the science. Yeah. But very much changed since I graduated in 1999.
But I mean, I suppose even scientists who are kind of well into their careers, though, there are so many disparate sections of biomedical science that you can't possibly, know them all. And what's your day-to-day job involve at the moment?
Well, we're on a shift system, so we work core days, which is 8:15 to 5:30, or we do late shifts, 1 p.m. till 10, or we do night shifts, which is 10 p.m. till 8:30 in the morning. So every week's different. Good old rotas, and you just you get it far in advance and things like that, so you can put in your annual leave. But we've got a manual section and we've got an automated section, so we are rostered onto, we rotate round them. We just take around all the sections. On a late shift and a night shift, you're really on automation because you're doing all the emergency bloods. So yeah, it's always different. Like, so today there's been engineers in, so not everything's been working. So yeah, there's a bit of work outstanding, but we'll get through it.
Yeah. And favourite shift, Gayle?
Do you know, I like a core shift because since I had my children, I've been part-time and I seem to be, a lot of my hours were taken up with late shifts and night shifts. So I work a lot on my own. So see, when I get a core shift, I'm actually in with people. It's quite nice. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, nice. What was the team like? What's your team like? What was the atmosphere like in the lab? Paint us a bit of a picture, Gayle.
It's a good laugh. We've actually got a social committee, and it's really good. They actually went away last Sunday. They went and did an Scottish assault courses, so they were throwing themselves like in water and they were covered in mud and things. So we used, from when we moved to the new hospital, we kind of lost our staff room in a way, and it did lose a little bit of the heart of the lab because we were used to being able to sit round and chat on our breaks, whereas now we have to go down to the main atrium in the hospital. So it's to do team building and get everybody out and do different things. So yeah, assault courses or where else? They're just trying to organise things all the time. So it's really, really nice. We've got a seminar room here. So the last Friday of every month, they try and get in a takeaway for lunchtime. So everybody will just, you could just bring your own lunch. And it's trying to bring everybody back together again, because when we moved to the new hospital, a lot of that was lost, which was sad. So it's good. It's nice because all the young, scientists, everybody that's coming in now want to do all that. So it's great.
Oh, nice. How many people are in the lab?
Oh my goodness. I think in total, there's 10 of us on the rota to cover obviously 24 hours. There's 10 of us, and then but there was a couple of staff that just work days. But we're it's strange because there's been quite a few people retiring as well. But we're getting a lot more transitions from the lab aides now coming through into the lab, doing building, where you've got your lab aides in reception and you've got us in the main lab. There's more, they're bridging the gap now. So the lab aides are coming in. So that's really good as well. So yeah, I think there's maybe about 12 lab aides. But when we do night shift, we work on our own for 10.5 hours. We're the only scientist on. There's one in hematology and blood transfusion. So there is 2 of yous here. But yeah, and on late shift from 8 p.m. we're on our own as well. So,
you strike me as a very sociable, outgoing person. Does it drive you insane being on a night shift by yourself, or?
Oh no, I weirdly, as much as I like being in during the day, I do enjoy working on my own as well. It's strange because you work to your own schedule, really. You know that when there's so many people around and you think, I need to do that. Did you do that? I'm going to put that on. Did you do, you're like constantly asking. Whereas when it's you just go, I know where everything is. I know what I'm doing. And you troubleshoot yourself as well because there's nobody there to ask. You're thinking, right, it's 3:00 in the morning and this has stopped working. Why? So you have to draw on your own resources. So that's quite nice as well. I like both sides of it.
Yeah. Brilliant. So you quite like that autonomy and kind of problem solving by yourself as well as being sociable.
Yeah, because it's easy during the day when there's so many people around that somebody might come in and go, oh, no, you need to do this, or, it's like, or do that, or no, try that. Whereas when you're on your own, you kind of go, right, where's that SOP I read? Where's my contingency plan? And you have to draw it, and it's good because then you draw on what you know, and you do know it. But it's like doing it yourself, and you feel a little bit of a sense of accomplishment when you get it working. You're like, yes. So yeah.
Oh, brilliant! And you've already mentioned Harvey's lab tours. How did you first get involved in Harvey's lab tours?
Well, I saw a Facebook post and it was Sick Kids in Edinburgh that was doing it. And I know Tammy, who is a local Dumfries girl, she's a senior there. And I just commented on the post because I think they had Scottish television in to actually cover it, the Harvey Gang. And I said, I want to do that at Dumfries. And Malcolm commented and he said, so you should, Gayle. He said, give me your phone number, I'll get in touch. So Malcolm phoned me and we were on the phone for about an hour and a half. And I was just like, oh, I need to do this. This is me. I need to do this. So after speaking to Malcolm, I came in and spoke to my boss, Martin. And I showed him it and he's like, yeah, this is really good. He said, we need to speak to the powers that be. So obviously you have to go up and to the board and things. And see, when I went to them, they were like, yep. And they just said, anything you need, just let us know. And I was like, oh. So it was really, honestly, I've never had any obstacles in my way at all. So Malcolm kindly sent me through they had a lot of paperwork that they'd developed. And he said, just change it to like DJI, your logos and things. So that was in 2018. And I realized quite quickly, because I do them all myself, I realized that you really need somebody in pediatrics, because I was getting in touch with the ward and they had no idea what it was. So nobody was getting back in touch with me. And I was getting like, oh, I'm ready to go. They were like, oh, they weren't really too sure what it was. So luckily, one of my best friends, a pediatric nurse, and I said, you're going to have to do this. And that's Sharon. That's Sharon that came to the wards with me. And I was like, no, you're going to have to do it. She went, right then. So we just sat down together and we just went through all the paperwork. And I said, from your point of view, what would you need? There was like our pre-tour question. We need to know what they're coming into and things like that. So yeah, 2019 we launched and we've done 23 tours so far.
Oh, brilliant. You touched on your kind of childhood experience of having cancer. Was that the driver behind it, or is that just a separate thing that gives you more of an insight into how the patients feel?
It just kind of gave me an insight, I suppose, but I was treated like an adult. I was 14 and I was put in an adult ward because they didn't know I had cancer. They just thought it was a simple lump removal. And I think after they realised, they told my parents actually I had leukemia and I didn't have leukemia. I didn't. So I was a bit of an unusual case. I think I had parts of the tumour sent to like different countries because they really weren't too sure and where it was and things like that. So yeah, I didn't do things by half. But I realised then, like, I was young. I was like, I shouldn't have been in an adult ward. I shouldn't have been treated, like that, So it did give me insight, but I just was so curious. I was like, what are you looking at? Why are you looking at? And again, like, why are you taking my blood? But yeah, so.
You asked them all these things, Gayle? Did you ask them all? Or is it because
No.
You just kind of, it's all going on in your head while everything's happening?
Yeah, weirdly, because everything was kind of taken out of my hand and I felt like I really wasn't until, I would say I was in my 20s and probably being in the lab and, I did want to do the medical side of it and everything like that, but it kind of didn't really hit me till my 20s and thought, wait a minute here, I was really young. Why was I not in a children's ward? Wait a minute. And you start to see the injustices of it all. And I was treated lovely, don't get me wrong. Everybody was brilliant. And I can still remember the 3 women that were in the ward with me. I can remember their names. I can remember everything about it. But I just thought, why? I shouldn't. And I didn't have a voice. Everything was directed to my mum and dad. Yeah. And I think they felt as well that they couldn't tell me how ill I was. So I was quite oblivious. I was quite oblivious to things. So I just feel that if you give the children their voice and let them, because that's how they process things. It's the unknown. And that's where all the fear, anxiety, and probably future, when you become an adult, anxiety might come from. So yeah, I don't know.
And then what is it like doing most about the tours yourself?
Oh, do you know what it is? You never know what each tour is going to be like. I mean, you can set up all your experiments and you've done your pre-tour questions. So I do know what they're really, they're fearful of or what they're really looking forward to. So I really try and make it as, directed towards that. But you just never know what they're going to be like and how they're going to take to things. So sometimes they'll be like, oh no, I'm not looking at that. Or they're really really wanting to do stuff and they're their eyes are going everywhere and things. And you just never know. And I like that about it, that every tour, I kind of think after that, I go, oh, that was a good one. Or do you know what I mean? Or you're still smiling and you're still laughing, or you're thinking, or sometimes you feel like it's so much for the children, you have no idea how it went. You know, they'll go away and you're going, oh, I don't know how that went. I don't know. I think it's so much for them until we send out feedback forms and they've been the best thing ever. When you get the feedback and you go, oh, they did enjoy it. They did really like it. Or they asked more questions because it can be so overwhelming that they go, oh, I wish I'd asked that. So we always say, you're always part of this and you always ask us anything. I'm always here if you need me. So, yeah.
How do you put the kids at ease? It must be quite hard for them to kind of, just relax and enjoy the tour. How do you put them at ease, Gayle?
I'm just funny with them. And just, when as soon as I meet them down in reception, and it starts from there, and I just go, right, are we going in the lift or are we going up the stairs? And they go, oh, and it starts with that. We're going in the lift, and then it's like, well, don't press lower ground because that's the mortuary. Do you know what I mean? And it starts in there, and I was like, which door? And we've got 2 doors to the labs, and I was like, well, that's where the common people go. You're special. We're going in that, and it's just things like that. Just saying, we're going in this door. Not many people are allowed in this door, so soon they're like, oh. And it's great because I've got my seminar room as soon as I come in. So I have everything laid out. So as soon as they open that door, lab coats there, goodie bags. Since they've got Harvey beer, they love that. So it's not like they come straight into the lab. We go through the first door of the lab into the seminar room. And when they see all their goodies, they're just excited. And I put my coat on and I was like, you get your coat. And I was like, pen, pocket. Do you know what I mean? So we go through and then I've got an ID badge. Oh, mine's is covered in badges, but they got their own little ID badge as well. And I pretend that they can scan through, but I'm like secretly going like that at the same time. So we just have fun and try to make it a laugh because I know it can be really daunting, but I do fun activities.
You're empowering them as well.
Absolutely. You're totally right. I think, and I never really thought of it like that actually, but it's true. I try it. It's like, I just say, you're in charge. This is it. This is your tour. And these are for you. And when you tell them that these goodies are for them to take home, they don't believe it. They go, what? And I was going, no, they're yours. You can keep them. And everything like that. So that's really nice. And they feel like they're getting it's like a gift, like a present already. And I tell them, there's pictures in there and I need that. I need you to design me a lab coat because mine is boring, or design me a microscope and I'll put it on my notice board because I've got a massive notice getting bigger. I've got so many pictures and things now. So I always give them like a task to do, but I think just putting them in charge. And there's a bell in reception as well. And I was like, so straight away I go, so when you get your bloods taken next, where are you going to come? This door. And I said, ring the bell. Just annoy them. Come on, ring the bell. So we just do you know what I mean? And then you can see everybody running around. And that's when I introduce everybody to them as well. So, yeah.
It sounds like quite a joyous affair. Do you ever feel sad while you do them? Because obviously you're creating but underneath everything is, an incredible sadness of all these going through.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's quite emotional. And it's funny, like what Ed said at the awards when he said, one of the things to be a biomedical scientist is emotional resilience. And I said, oh, I've got none of that. I've none. I was crying my eyes out. But I must admit, just you feel for them because you can see that it can be too much for them and you can see what they're going through. And I have had kids who, before, they've had their treatment, they come in after, because maybe they have been too unwell. And they said, I wish we'd had it through our treatment and we're having it now. So there's things that we need to kind of be able to get the children in, sooner. But it can be emotional, but it's so rewarding when you see how it affects them. And sometimes it can be a bit too much as well. And you say, it's fine. Shall we have a seat? Shall we go and get a glass of water? Shall we just, I said, what would you like? What would you like to see? And I give the control back to them. So I'm not just taking them round and things like that. So, yeah.
Are there any particular standout tours that you can kind of talk us through where either it's been a very emotional one or it's had a big impact on the patient?
Well, do you know, there was one young boy who I try and do the tours during the day, but if you have a child with autism or like ADHD or, I do them in the evening when the lab's quiet, or I'll do them at the weekend because I don't want it to be too overwhelming. And I did have a young boy who he didn't want to wear the lab coat. He didn't like the feel of it. And I was like, you don't need to wear it. I was like, I'll not wear mine. Let's just not wear them, and things. And because he wasn't going to come in. He wasn't going to come in. And I was like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. And after they didn't have to wear that, it was like the relief was away from him. And I just let him actually guide it. And I said, well, where do you want to go next? And I said, this is what I've got set up, but you just do it. And at the end of it all, he didn't want his photo taken. He kind of went away really quiet. And I was quite like, oh, and I really thought I'd failed him. You're thinking, I've totally failed him, or could have done that better. And that was the little boy who does not attend school assembly. He doesn't go to things like that. It's too much for him. Until we got an email from the teacher to say he went into school and he said, can I come to assembly today? And she's like, oh, right, yeah. He said, in fact, can I speak? And she was like, what? He got up there on the stage with all his Harvey's lab tour stuff, and he spoke about it. He's never done it. Amazing. And I never knew. And I when he left the tour, I was really quite down because I thought, oh, I've really failed him. I don't know if he liked it. I don't know if he enjoyed it. I don't know if it was too much for him. But he totally took it all in. It was just his way of processing it. And that taught me as well. Like, they're just doing it at their own pace. So, yeah, I was so chuffed with that. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. And did it take a while to kind of sound out each individual? Because you say that everyone's going to be completely different. Mm-hmm. They react in different ways. They're going to have different fears. Is there a kind of a bit at the start where you're kind of stepping around each other a little bit, trying to figure out kind of how, what direction you should take in, how funny you should be?
I think it's sometimes the way they're waiting for me in reception downstairs. Now, like, if they jump up and I'm there, like, hi, I'm Gayle, what's your name? And I'll like shake their hands and see if they're quite like, and their parents will go, come on, we're going to go up now. I can gauge it right away then. So you can tell what their little personalities are. But that's great. They're great because they're so quiet at the beginning, and then they're just like, by the end of it, they just love it, and they want to do that again, and they want to do another thing again, and they're just, they absolutely love it. So, yeah, there's been some of the tours, even a little boy who, he said, as soon as blue gloves come out, he doesn't like blue gloves. He knows they're taking his blood. So I got purple gloves, and he was like, oh, honestly, Sharon, who she was on the tour, Sharon, and she was like, you never told me you didn't like blue gloves on the ward. And he said, I actually didn't realise that's what, the association. Until we were going to do an experiment, and he got really, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I got on purple gloves. And he was like, oh, cool. And he had a really good, when he went to get he had cystic fibrosis, when they get his port changed, it took 5 adults the time before the tour, and when he went after the tour, he just did it. And his mum was like in tears because she's like, never had that before. Yeah. So
after they've had the tour and they've left, get the feedback form. Mm-hmm. Is there any kind of interaction after that at all at any point?
Well, yeah, I always say to them, well, now you've had your tour, I said you'll be on shift on Monday. And they're like, oh. And some of them go, all right then. And they're up, do that. But that's why I say to them, where we are. I said, you can bring your bloods up now. When you're in pediatrics, you know where it is. You just tell them, say, I know where it's going. I'll take it up. I said, will you come up and ring the bell and see if anybody's here and if I'm in and things. So hopefully I do see them there. I've met them in supermarket.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been amazing. I did go and try and see a couple of them with the awards as well, because there's one little boy, Oliver, who thinks he is our lucky mascot, and he said, "Well, you did win because of me, didn't you?" Like, I was like, "Well, yeah, I did, Oliver, obviously, yeah." But he's amazing, and he's just like, "Oh, there's my Gayle," and he calls me my Gayle now, and he calls her and my Sharon, and it's just like, oh, you just because it's a small town as well, we do see a lot of people, but it's amazing as well to see that a lot of them are really well now and grown up, and now they're going to high school, and you think, oh my goodness, you were my first tour and now you're like at high school. So we do, and they're all past when you're like when they share on social media, you do get past tour people like commenting on it and still saying it was the best thing we've ever done. So it's really nice, yeah. But I do bump into them. Sharon will also get in touch with me and say such and such is in the ward, and they're asking, do you want to come across? So I'll go across and see them. Yeah.
Obviously, in biomedical science, there isn't much of a patient-facing role. It sounds like you get a lot out of interacting with the patients.
Yeah, I do. And do you know, we go on about the children so much, but it's see the parents, they get as much out of it. And, you know, I don't think a lot of people know when they go to the doctors and they get their blood taken where it actually goes. And I don't think a lot of people know we exist, sadly. And I think they think the doctor takes it into the side room. It's like issues. I don't think they realise. See the parents, they're like, oh my God, this is like mind blowing. To them, they see it in a different. The children see it as whoa, machine, whoa, experiments. That's so cool and everything. But it's the parents that so to get the interaction with them, and I think it helps them because if you think about it, like what happened with me, even my mum and dad, I think they're the ones worrying about the results. Yes, the kids are getting anxious, getting their bloods taken. But it's the parents that are taking on board that, right, I'm waiting for these results. Why are they not done? Why did they take this amount of time? And while the kids are, looking down the microscope, I talk to the parents as well and say, look, different times of the day, if your bloods came in the morning, we're only dealing with hospital samples. If they came in the afternoon, you're talking nearly 2,000 GP samples. We do treat yours as urgent, but the machines can be backed up if there's issues. And they're like, oh, it makes total sense. So I think for them, it really helps them as well. Really does.
You're demystifying the whole process, not just children, but for the entire family and everyone affected by this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one big thing as well, we talk about the siblings as well, because if you've got a sibling that's unwell and through no fault of the parent's own, a lot of the energy does go on the sibling that's under paediatric care. And there's a lot of charities out there, kids that childhood cancers or leukemias and that, they do provide things for a lot of the children there, but the siblings don't get anything. And they're not really included in a lot. So every tour, I say, no, the brothers and sisters come and they get the same. They get the lab coat. They get all the goodies. They get the beer. They will get all the same if they want to come. And they're just like, they love that as well. And I think it's really important because we forget that maybe the siblings are really affected by it as well. It must be so hard, watching your brother and sister go through something.
How do you decide, or how did it come about where you've got a particular child on the tour? How does that process work? Is it something where the paediatric team refer them because they seem nervous? How does that process work out?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So what they'll do is they'll refer to Sharon in paediatrics and they'll give us a little bit of background and they'll just say, oh, look, such and such, is getting really, really anxious. Or it could be they're just curious. Or it could be, look, I think it would really benefit them, just a bit more understanding. And then so Sharon will tell me, and so we make the initial contact with the parent and say, look, this is, we've got a lovely letter saying, would this help? And would you like to, be involved? And we do it from there. So, but it is a lot of the paediatric staff now and community nurses, because a lot of children are not always in the ward, but they're seen in the community. So they'll get in touch and they'll say, would it be possible if they could get a tour? And we also make sure that as much as Sharon, she'll come on a lot of the tours, she always makes sure there's always a different paediatric member of staff comes, students, anybody, just so they see it as well. And it's really helped relationships. And I think the ward understands how we work, and we understand how they work a lot better. So yeah, it's just a referral scheme. They'll just refer, and I try and fit them in amongst my chefs and my children.
With the profile of Harvey's lab tours going up, and a lot of people in the hospital now know about it, are you finding a lot more people are wanting to do it? Are you finding an increase in demand for people wanting to come on the tours?
Oh, yeah, I do actually have a waiting list just now. So me and Sharon have been chatting back and forth, and I said, right, there's a day I'm going to do it, because I don't like to pair them up. I like them to have their own individual tour, because I want them to be able to express themselves. And if somebody would, like, they didn't know, and they'd be like, like really quiet, like, what kids are like when they meet, like, you just don't want to talk. I want them to be as relaxed as anything. So I do them individually. So yeah, we're trying to get a few booked in, and we'll not order reports, but if there's one, like a really urgent one, saying, look, treatment is going so badly because they're so anxious, we'll try and, get them in. So yeah, it works really well, and it really helps, like, say, having Sharon's knowledge of the children prior to it as well. Or she'll speak to other members of staff saying, that, maybe know the children a lot better and things. So that makes such a difference.
And it sounds like you have to put in a fair bit of time and effort. Obviously, you've got your own family, you've got your job. Is it tough to squeeze all this stuff in?
It's not too bad, actually. It isn't too bad, but I try not saturate it as well, because it is a working lab as well, and I don't really want to get in people's way a lot as well. But they're like, have you got a tour in? I was like, yeah, because I'm going around, like, setting everything up and things like that. So they love the kids coming in and actually meeting the children, and say they're not just a name or a number and things. But yeah, I do find it difficult to do lots of them, but I try and maybe do like 2 in a day, so 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and maybe 1 in an evening, and then I try and, like, maybe leave it for a week or 2 weeks and things. But I do have a bit of a waiting list, and because it was school holidays, I thought I would get more in, but I just couldn't. My kids just take up all my, and it wouldn't be fair on them to, say you have to go to Granny's. I'm doing Harvey's lab tour. So yeah, we've got a few lined up, so it's really good.
And for all this incredible work, you recently won Biomedical Science Champion, which is the IBMS Award. Did you expect to win that?
Didn't even know the award existed. Didn't even know the category was there. Like, completely oblivious.
It was a big surprise by the sound of it.
Yeah, because even if I'd seen it on the programme, I actually would have thought it'd be like, like your BAFTA recognition. Like, you would say, thanks to Jim, you've been a scientist for 43 years, well done, and this is going to you, thanks for your service. I was oblivious, like, we had no idea. And I think we were second last award to win Harvey's lab tour. And we're still thinking, oh no, I don't think it'll be us. I'm not too sure. And obviously, when they called Dumfries Galloway on for me, it was like, oh my God. And poor Malcolm, I think he got squeezed a million times. He was crying. I was crying. It was brilliant. So when we sat down, there was only, I think, 1 award to go. So we were on a kind of still, like, so excited. They'd done the last award. So when Joanna stood up, Joanna, the president, and she said, now for the ultimate accolade, I'm still oblivious. And they brought up one of the people, the first person that won it. And I went, oh, they won the first award. And then I was going, oh, they won the second award. And then I said to the girls, I was like, do you think we'll be in this as well? And we all went, nah, not at all. I thought it would be like, like 3 or 4 of the bet, had no idea. And then obviously they brought everybody up, and it was like, oh, but still thinking, no way, there absolutely no way. And then when she said, let's take a look at the winner, and that film came up with Finn and his mum Amy and me, I'll not lie, I swore. A total Tourette's moment. I was like, and I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it. I was, honestly, and Sharon and Sue were lovely because they said, you go and get that, Gayle, because that's yours. That's yours. You go and get that. And I just couldn't believe they said that, And I kept saying, I think I got on the stage and said to Joanna, are you sure? It's like, but I think I just cuddled people. I think I was so in shock, still in shock, to tell you the truth. It's so surreal. Like, I've got the awards over there. I had them set up at the other computer. I'll have to bring them over.
That sounds like you were in a bit of shock, because imagine if she said, actually, are you sure? No, we're not 100%, but
Yeah, she was like, no. It was just, she was so lovely, and I was like, I thought, no, this isn't real. What? Oh, I was like, I think I gripped it. I think I held on to that award, I think, for the next hour, like all the photos getting taken, and then realizing, but yeah, I think I did, I said to Ed Patrick, and I said, I have no emotional resilience, and I couldn't even get the photos taken because I couldn't stop crying. I just kept going like this, going, oh. So yeah, I think some of the videos in that of my face are hilarious, but it was realness.
You were joined on stage by Malcolm Robinson, who was the founder of what was Harvey's Gang and now Harvey's Lab Tours, and I think there was a standing ovation when you were both up on stage together with everyone clapping, and I think me included, most people crying. I mean, how that must have been a ridiculously emotional moment, especially with Malcolm there with you as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember even when we arrived at the wards, I remember waving to him, and then I went, when we obviously came through with our tickets, I think I went up to him and went, hi, Malcolm, I'm Gayle. And he said, I know who you are, Gayle. And that was it. It was just so nice. But I could see the emotion in him because, it's Harvey's Gang was his baby. And now it's Harvey's Lab Tours and everything. And it's just so lovely for him to be still there and recognising. It was so lovely. Yeah, just to get him, to meet him and be on the stage with him, because that's where it all started, really. And yeah, definitely. But I think, I think it did make, I mean, obviously, I think everybody kept saying you made me cry. I think I made everybody cry.
It's one of those things where you're doing something genuinely good, you're helping people, and it's a selfless act, and you're improving people's lives. So yeah, I think it's an incredible thing to do.
It's honestly surreal, because you don't think, when you start these tours, you don't think the impact they'll have. But for it to be recognised now that it is making such a huge impact, that it's really, really, really helping, it's so nice to be recognised for that. Yeah, I actually still laugh about it, and I still look at the awards, and I'm like, what? And it's funny. So Finn, who was in the video, he's in hospital for his arthritis. He's in hospital on Wednesday, so we're taking the awards over to the ward.
Oh,
to see them, yeah, and the big Harvey bear, who everybody tries to steal, but they're not having it.
You mentioned the feedback forms. I think that the judges read out a few bits and pieces from the feedback form, or they were certainly on the website, which I'll just read out a couple of things. Yeah. The judges said the tours have been described by participants as eye-opening experiences, absolutely fantastic and unforgettable. So you're obviously doing something incredibly right there, Gayle.
Doing something all right.
Yeah. If you had kind of, a couple of sentences of kind of pitch, the elevator pitch, they always call it on telly, where you've got to persuade someone to do something in 30 seconds. Well, what would you say to people who are thinking, well, maybe I should do this? How would you persuade them?
God, I talk too much. I would be more than 30 seconds. I would just say don't hesitate. Absolutely don't hesitate. Reach out. This is the thing now. There's such a big network of us that do it. Reach out. Just ask questions. Use everybody that's on Harvey's Lab. Use the IBMS. because there's so much information out there, but I wouldn't hesitate. I would just honestly do it. It's going to be one of the best things you'll ever do. One of the best things I've ever done. It totally makes you fall in love with science again as well. You realise like how cool we are. We are cool, but it really, you see the amazement in kids' eyes and you think, we have got a really cool job and a really good job, and it's so rewarding. So yeah, I would, don't hesitate, just do it. I'm here for questions if you want to help.
Perfect. Gayle, that seems like the perfect moment to wrap things up. But congratulations on the award. Well done for the amazing work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and talk about it tonight.
Thanks so much. It's been lovely. Thank you.
Thanks to Gayle for taking part in this episode, and thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and remember that this episode can be used as reflective learning for your CPD. Please do keep an eye on IBMS social media feeds and the website for future episodes. Thanks again for listening.